Hey there folks, today I am very excited to announce that this video will be the first in a series of videos that stray a bit from our typical Real Raider content. Today's video is going to be the start of our very first Real Raider Realist Reel Showdown. In just a moment, I'm going to be listing a set of 32 movies that will be going head-to-head in a colossal battle to find out who deserves to be the shining star at the top of the Christmas tree. Now, these 32 movies have been painstakingly broken into 4 individual categories to give us the most fair chance at declaring a Christmas winner. I had a list of about 50 Christmas movies that I had to narrow down into 4 groups of 8. That meant deciding how to separate them into divisions, and I thought about maybe time period or by subgenre. I thought about just having an east and west of classics versus new age. I thought of all sorts of options, but eventually I chose what we've got here. Now, it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. It keeps things exciting. It does, however, leave a few movies out that some people might be surprised by. We'll get to those later. Before I get too deep, I need to make it very clear that I am driving the decisions here, so if you don't agree with the results of this bracket, that's okay. I took some advice from my friends' preferences just to make sure I wasn't too biased, but at the end of the day, I'm a guy in my late 20s, and the movies I like are the movies I like. You may not agree, but hey, that's the joy of this vast sea of movie review channels. We get to hear everyone's opinions, and it's possible that you think my opinion sucks. Who knows? Maybe I'll change your mind. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the 2020 Realist Reel Christmas Showdown. In our first division of the North Pole Conference, we're taking a look at what I consider to be family movies. Now, these movies have something for everyone. Kids and adults both can usually find something to enjoy here. It's a little different than just straight-up kids' movies, but we've got a category for that later. Facing off first, Home Alone versus White Christmas. Next, Elf versus Fred Claus. Up next, we've got It's a Wonderful Life versus Christmas with the Cranks. And finally, A Christmas Story versus Home Alone 2. For our second division in the North Pole Conference, we'll be looking at animated movies. Now, this one was tricky. I'll start off by saying that there's only one classic claymation movie in this list. I wanted more variety, so I just picked one. And to be completely honest, I just hate these movies. So, I picked the one that I considered to be the best. Our first matchup, Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas versus Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Followed up by 8 Crazy Nights versus The Polar Express. Up next, The Nightmare Before Christmas versus Arthur Christmas. And finally, Klaus versus A Charlie Brown Christmas. Our first division in our South Pole Conference is focused on kids' movies. This one was a little tricky to put together, and you might say some of these movies could fit in the family movies section and vice versa. Again, I wanted to split these groups out into simple groups, so it is what it is. Up first, The Santa Claus versus Unaccompanied Minors. Next, we've got The Live-Action Grinch versus Muppets Christmas Carol. Then we've got Jingle All the Way versus the original Miracle on 34th Street. And finally, Jack Frost, the children's movie, not the horror movie, versus To Grandmother's House We Go. And for our last division, I've pulled some of the great Christmas movies made for adults. There are plenty of more for this list especially, but I really tried to pick movies that focused more on Christmas than a movie set around Christmas time. Our first pair, Scrooged versus The Family Man. Next, we've got Mixed Nuts versus Bad Santa. Then we've got National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation versus The Night Before. And the last pair is Love Actually versus Four Christmases. Well, there you have it, folks. Those are the 4 divisions in our 2 conferences. Stick around and see how things play out. I'm not going to be reviewing any of these movies in this video. I just wanted to get this list out to anyone who might be interested in watching this series. I intend to do at least one video per round, but I may do more depending on how long they are or how in-depth I decide to go. We'll see how it goes from here. This is a trial run, folks. There's bound to be some bumps. If you think this bracket is poorly built, maybe you can sway my opinion. Let me know. Do you think you know who's going to win? You think you see any possible upsets? Let me know. If you want to fill out the bracket on your own, I included a download link. Tune in soon to see who pulls ahead and who gets left behind in round 1.